Hi there, I hope you're doing great. In our last video we covered how to insert pivot tables. This time we're going to dive a bit deeper into the settings to understand what each function does when we're working with pivot tables. Here's the pivot table just as we left it in our previous session. In this example, we have the country zone along with the total sales amount and total cost amount. These four sections on the right side help us filter, add columns, rows, and values. The filters section, as you might guess, allows us to apply filters. For instance, we had the product type set as baby food, but we can also add priority filters like high priority and critical priority. When we click OK, you'll see how it instantly updates. We can also set the sales channel, for example, in filters to show only what was sold online. We click OK. In the columns section, we'll see the values in columns as the name suggests. So, for instance, let's say instead of wanting to see only the online sales channel, we want to see both online and offline. We can do this in two ways. One is to place it in the column section. We'll select that. So as we're placing it in columns, you'll notice that, well, there was a filter here, right? You can see here it says column labeled online, and only this one appears. And this is the total of the pivot table. Now I'm going to reapply the filters and add offline as well. I'll click OK, and then we'll have the offline part, the total sales, and the total sales of both, as well as the total cost. So all of this is going to show the total cost of the offline part, the total cost of the online part, and the total cost of what we have in the pivot table. We generally see it in columns, but we could also view it in rows, as you can see here. What would happen then is that we'd see the country, sales channel, and then the region. In this case, we could divide, for example, the sales channel as a first group. So let's look at online, offline, Central America and the Caribbean, Europe, and the different regions. This will depend a lot on how we want to view the data. Similarly, we'll be able to see the total sums for offline, showing only the total sales. We're also going to have the total sum of the sales amount for online, and we'll have the total sum of both amounts. Now, if we want to work in this format, I recommend right-clicking, selecting Pivot Table Options, then Display, and choosing Classic Pivot Table Layout. We click OK, and in this case, what it's going to do is separate everything that's in the rows into columns. So we're going to have a column for the sales channel, which is this one here. We have a column for the area, which you can see is this one here. It's the second one, so we'll see it as the second column over here as well. And the third column we have is for the country, so we're going to see it here. As I mentioned, this will depend a lot on how we want to view it. In my case, we're going to put the sales channel in the values section right here. So we're going to have offline and online. If you notice, we can also adjust how we see the data in our pivot table depending on how we modify the order of the values here. For example, if I have the sales channel at the top, it will show me first everything that's offline and then everything that's online. But if I change the value at the top so that the first thing I see is the value, what it's going to show me is the value, which in this case would be the sum of the total sales, and it will display both the offline and online sales amounts. Here we also have the total cost, but both offline and online costs are combined. So depending on how we arrange the order of the fields, that's how we'll see it in our pivot table. I prefer it this way because we can compare online and offline in the same view, making it a bit easier to analyze.